Hi, welcome. Today's question is a write-in, and it's actually one that's fairly common as a misunderstanding mostly. The question that we were asked was, what exactly is a certified diamond and what makes it different than a non-certified diamond? The answer, of course, being that the term certified diamond is a bit of a misnomer. There is no such thing as a certified diamond. There are independent grading laboratories that give certificates for the grading they've already done on a diamond, but nobody certifies them. A certificate is what happens when you send a stone to a lab like GIA. They will have a panel of gemologists independently grade the stone. They will then take whatever the common grade is and apply that to the certificate. Occasionally you will also find laser inscriptions on the girdle that match the certificate number so that if the certificate is ever lost, it can be relocated. That's the short answer to this question. The long answer to the question is that what makes them different from a non-certified diamond is that they have been graded, so when you're purchasing them, you know what you're paying for. There's a very large gap in price with very small differences in the quality of a stone. So when you're paying for something that is supposed to be VVS1, you're going to pay a lot more than something that's a VS1. When you have a certificate from a reputable lab, you know that you are getting what you're paying for. So, now that we have that out of the way, the question really is, how do I know that the lab report that I have is good information since the value is so high for minor changes? Well, depending on what part of the country or world you happen to be living in, you will probably find one lab report to be more prevalent than another. I personally have encountered at least a dozen different independent laboratories other than the big three. When buying a stone, you want to make sure that the report that it is coming with, since that is what you are basing the monetary decision on because of what the report says, you want to make sure that those reports are from a reputable lab with a good history. The top three that you will find, and the most reputable of all of the laboratories that I've ever encountered, are going to be as follows in order. Number one is the Gemological Institute of America. Their world headquarters is right here in Carlsbad, actually up the street from where I'm recording this video. GIA created what we now call the 4 C's: cut, color, clarity, carat weight. They did this to standardize the diamond grading process because before this it was all over the map and any one person would have had a completely different set of nomenclature to grade the same stone as someone else. So you can thank them for that. GIA is by and far considered the most reputable, the most unbiased, and the most thorough of all the independent gemological laboratories. Behind them is the AGS, the American Gem Society. They do their own independent grading. They do use the GIA system, but they also use one of their own, which is more numerically based. The numerically based system is better for a technical standpoint. However, numbers don't always tell the whole story when you're looking at a stone, especially with cut grade. Cut is very subjective, even though there are mathematical formulas which AGS does grade for, and GIA does as well. GIA is basing their designation on cut grade off of the visual appeal, whereas AGS is doing it by numerical quality. The third, and honestly I hesitate to recommend this, but of all the other laboratories, it is the only other one I could consider the top three, is EGL, European Gemological Laboratories. EGL is considered the least valuable of those three major diamond grading labs. An EGL certificate will be laid out very similarly to the way GIA or AGS does. I'll show you a picture in a little bit. EGL's grading policies don't use as many gemologists to independently grade the stone as AGS or GIA does, which is why I say of the three, they are the least likely to be completely accurate. I have noticed some inconsistencies on them, But even that being said, compared to a lot of the independent labs you'll find, they are far, far better of a choice. As far as independent laboratories go, bear in mind, like I said, I've encountered better than a dozen of them in my years in the jewelry industry, and I've noticed one very common thing about the majority of them. They're all owned by a company that produces and sells jewelry. You can see where this makes them a little more unbiased, and that becomes a little bit more of a problem when you're looking for correct information. I'll show you some pictures in a minute of the 3 different lab reports, what you're looking for, as well as kind of an explanation on what the cut grade is and what the color really is side by side, so you know what you're looking at. Thanks. A quick note on the different grading systems as far as cut quality that goes, since cut does affect obviously how much scintillation and brilliance you will get out of the diamond. GIA versus AGS. GIA uses a word terminology system: excellent, very good, good, fair, poor. They are exactly what they sound like. They're based on mathematical equation, but they're also based on the visual appeal. AGS, on the other hand, goes from 10, which is the worst of the worst, to 0, which is ideal. For your reference, in a higher-end national or international store like a Cartier, a Tiffany's, something along those lines, the average cut grade you'll find is between 3 and 0. And that's representing some of the highest cut grades available. The average cut grade that you'll find in your average American chain store, like a Zales or a Kay's, is going to fall somewhere in the range of 6 to 7. Anything closer to 10, since 10 is the worst, obviously you're not going to want. Cut influences price quite heavily. An additional note: on AGS's grading reports you will also see something that is usually labeled brilliance. They're referring to the light return. In this case, a 10 out of 10 is a perfect score. It means that 100% of the light entering the diamond is reflected back to the observer. 0 is bad in this case. It means that 0% of the light is being returned. Your average ideal cut, somewhere between 3 and 0, should be returning anywhere around the neighborhood of 80% to 95%. Only the 000 grade, which is very rare and represents only a small fraction of available diamonds on the US market, will return better than 95%. And for that you're looking at brands like IC2, Hearts on Fire. Generally, you will pay a very heavy premium for these. And again, for your reference, in your average American chain store, the amount of light return you can expect to get is somewhere between 60 and 70%. That's the average. Obviously, sometimes you'll find better, a lot of times you'll find worse. The better the brilliance, the better the scintillation, the better the diamond. Your color, your clarity, all of that runs a very deep second for most people to the brilliance. But we'll address that in a separate video. Thank you for watching this video segment. I hope you found it useful and informative. And if you have any further questions on this topic or anything else, you can get a hold of me through the website, www.demerjewelry.com. You can check us out on Facebook. And if you're local, you can get some more information about us off of Google Places, Yelp, or Kudzu.com. And as always, keep checking back on this channel. We'll add new videos as often as we can. Thank you very much. See you next time.